Big Bill, second reading.
Honorable Dhunoo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. First and foremost, I would like to commend the budget 2020-2021 presented by the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning, Development, Dr. Honorable Ranganaden Pairayachi. This budget, 2020-2021, bears testimony that this government is fully committed to establish a launchpad geared towards the economic resilience, protecting and sustaining small businesses, saving jobs, creating new opportunities, addressing inequalities, building investors' confidence, and above all, creating an economy of life. Mr. Speaker, sir, several countries in the world are still struggling with high death tolls and increasing number of cases and a prolonged lockdown. With the bold and prompt measures undertaken by our government under the able leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, we have successfully flattened the curve. This was even evidenced through international reports and indexes. Most recently, in a report of Business Today, we have been qualified among the top nine countries who have well managed the crisis. We won one battle, but the war still has to be fought. As we gradually reopen our economy, borders, and get back to the new normal, it is now time for a reality check. And it is now that aftermath of this storm we will be felt, but let's be assured that we are under steady recovery mode. Mr. Speaker, sir, at this point, it is important to mention that many economies in the world have encompasses all the support and assistance for COVID-19 crisis in their annual budget, and thus is going through massive cut down in benefits, development, and social needs. However, our government, with the expertise of Dr. Honorable Ranganaden Pairayachi, has met not less than a miracle. Mr. Speaker, sir, this 2021 budget will be written in history. If we have to list down all the assistance and support, as well as all the measures undertaken by various ministries and agencies, we can say that this year we have presented two budgets, one fully focused on combating the COVID-19 crisis, and the second budget, the present one, which we focus on continuity and la relance économique in a post-COVID environment. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are now called upon to re-engineer our lives. What seemed unthinking a few months ago is now the obvious. We are today rethinking and adapting ourselves to the new normal. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, my first year of my intervention will be geared toward the theme of sustainability. While elaborating on sustainability, it is essential to mention that the concept of sustainability aims at striking the right balance between economic, social, and environment. With the COVID-19 situation, we have all learned our lessons. We have seen that local sustainability is of utmost importance. In a period of restricted imports, we have learned that self-sufficiency and local production is the key. Building resilience of local food system will be critical to averting any future shortages and to ensure food security. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the rapid evolution, the global economy has drastically shifted from the agriculture to manufacturing and services sector. In the strive to achieve success in these sectors, many countries have left behind the agricultural sector. However, in the recent years, there has been a paradigm shift, and many countries in the world are going back to the basics. If we analyze the global landscape, we'll find that superpowers such as United States, China, India, France have invested massively and have dedicated an important segment to agriculture. These countries have resolved that investment in agriculture is a must, and as a need to compensate the tremendous contribution of this sector to the economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 2 has laid much emphasis on food security and agricultural sustainability. The steering committee of this specific goal has urged all member states to give a great assistance to food producers, farmers, to increase investment in agriculture, infrastructure, and technology for sustainable agriculture. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Mauritian economy was once entirely dependent on the agricultural sector. And today, after going through the COVID-19 crisis, we need to go back to the basics. We therefore need to reorganize our resources, be it capital, human, research and development in the agricultural sector. In light of the above, I wish to highlight that numerous actions has already been undertaken to implement these practices in Mauritius. One of these initiatives include the setting up of a state-of-the-art marché à l'encan at Toute. This national wholesale market will improve the handling of fruits, vegetables, both post-harvest and for onward sales. It will also be fully compliant with all existing relevant legislation, agricultural and food standards. Mr. Speaker, sir, to top up on the solid foundation already laid by the government, a series of laudable initiatives has been undertaken in the budget 2020-21 for the agricultural sector. These measures are focused on creating a conducive environment and is providing an enabling framework to ensure self-sufficiency and thus food security. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total imports is worth around 200 billion USD, out of which 80%, that is approximately 36 billion USD, is for the importation of food. These figures clearly indicate that there is a demand on the market, and that in view to meet this demand, local farmers will have a guaranteed market. However, the challenges remain the economies of scale, mechanization, efficient land use, price control, and market intelligence. These challenges have been assessed, and consequently, appropriate measures have been announced by Honorable Minister of Finance during his budget speech. First, the introduction of a national agri-food development program will promote farm-to-fork concept, and this shall limit the imports of food and thus promoting local production, distribution, and consumption. Secondly, the widening of the scope of the AMB and Small Farmers Welfare Fund shall tackle the challenges and unlock potential of Mauritius towards becoming self-sufficient. Thirdly, given that Mauritius has a restricted land surface, optimal land use is therefore of utmost importance. To this effect, the establishment of the land bank shall ensure that land is used and occupied in an efficient and optimal manner. There are many elements of traditional farming knowledge that, if coupled by the latest scientific knowledge, can support productive food system through sound, sustainable soil, land, water, nutrient, and pest management. To this effect, this budget is catering for loan scheme by the Development Bank of Mauritius in view to assist farmers and planters and foster innovation. To recall, up to 5 million under the new agricultural loan scheme to assist planters to adopt new cultivation techniques, up to 1 million rupees under the mechanization loan scheme for acquisition of machinery and farm equipment, Up to 1 million under the Seeds and Seedling Loan Scheme to encourage investment in seeds and seedling production. Up to 5 million rupees under the Agro-Industry Loan Scheme to encourage investment in transformation, processing, packaging of agricultural produce. Mr. Speaker, sir, when we look back, we have come a very long way. We have worked on the legacy of our forefathers, tried basic mechanization, and today we're exploring the avenues of smart agriculture. When we read this budget, we can see the vision of the government to move towards agribusiness. This vision is the one of our Prime Minister. It is important for this House to know that the vision for smart agriculture dates back when our Prime Minister was then Minister of Agriculture in 2002 and has established the Small Planters Welfare Fund to give planters a recognition. And today, we know that they are assisting the farmers. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this modern era, many youth are drifted away from the working in the soil and prefer white-collar jobs. But the landscape has changed, and it has changed a lot. For instance, in the US, the top managers in multinational have reinvented themselves and are today now farmers. The synergy between traditional farming and innovation have graduated this sector into a dynamic and innovative sector. We are today speaking of hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, vertical farming, dual and triple use farming, permaculture, and organic farming, to name a few. And all these techniques mentioned are successfully running in all corners of our island. This new avenue, coupled with all the incentives provided by our government, are hence opening an indefinite number of opportunities for our people who wish to reinvent themselves into agro-entrepreneurs. Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore recommend that in collaboration with SME Mauritius, Ministry of Agriculture, the DBM, and all relevant agencies, that a caravane pour l'entrepreneuriat et l'innovation agricole shall be organized all over the island to sensitize, educate, and assist the agro-entrepreneur to kickstart and boost the business activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the concept of self-sufficiency is not restricted to agro-industry, but it is cutting across concept and touches several other sectors, one of them being the blue economy. One key measure for the blue economy, which will help tremendously contribute towards our self-sufficiency, is the introduction of incentive in view to promote inland aquaculture and the introduction of assistance by the Mauritius Investment Corporation to joint venture engage in fishing or whole value chain. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the same vein of sustainability, I will now talk on the theme which has the direct impact on our environmental footprint. I would like to speak about the green and clean energy sector. During the lockdown, we have all seen the effect of heavy consumption on Mother Earth and how reduction in the consumption has resulted in miraculous outcome. The ozone layer above the Arctic Ocean has recovered. The Himalaya range was visible from a 200-kilometer distance, and blue sky was visible in Shanghai. All this to demonstrate that we all have an ecological footprint and how it impacts on the environment. A responsible government is one which cares for its environment. Mr. Speaker, sir, for several years, especially the Labour PMSD government has done nothing regarding the implementation of green energy measures. The famous Maurice Durab brand was an overpromise, an under-delivered dream, or rather I should say, an undelivered dream of a green and clean Mauritius. On the other hand, it is under this government that concrete action was taken in this direction, and a series of key measures were introduced to promote green and clean energy. These actions include the publication of a roadmap for renewable energy 2030 and the setting up of Mariner, among others. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius is also a proponent to the UN SDG 7 for clean and green energy. Our government is fully committed toward the shifting to a cleaner and greener source energy. We therefore reaffirm our sustainable development goal by announcing a 40% share of local renewable energy by 2030. In addition, households and SMEs shall be empowered to engage in production of renewable energy sources, namely through a 10 megawatt renewed medium-scale distributed generated scheme. Mr. Speaker, sir, in several states in the world, there has been major cutdowns, and in fear of many exponential increases in taxes and limitation of benefits. Our government has cut down, but it has gone down internally. A reduction in per diem, overseas travel, duty-free benefit, and a uniform 10% decrease in all public sector expenses. Many people on the other side of the House were speculating that the end-of-year bonuses will be waived off for the 2020, while others were speculating that the VAT would increase. But none of these sanctioning measures were announced. On the contrary, all social benefits were maintained and even upgraded in some circumstances. Mr. Speaker, sir, this government firmly believes in the ethos of responsibility, care, and dignity for every citizen. We believe that utmost gratitude should be given to our elderly, who have contributed massively to the Mauritius we have today. It is an inculcation of values that we are giving to our youth and children that they should contribute to ensure that our elderly have a comfortable and decent retirement. Tomorrow, we will also be the beneficiaries of this plan. So we have to adopt the philosophy of planting a seed today, so that tomorrow we could reap a tree and its fruits. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite a situation of crisis, our vision to be a modern, high-income, and diversified economy has not changed. We are the leaders in Africa in several fields, be it in terms of ease of doing business, rule of law, democracy index, good governance, and innovation. This is a position we want to safeguard and consolidate. Additionally, we are continuously on the quest of any untapped potential which we may unlock for the development of new economic pillars. Consequently, the Honorable Minister of Finance has announced the development of a new economic pillar to the Mauritian economy, that is, the pharmaceutical industry. With a series of incentives and key measures announced, Mauritius is poised to be a regional hub for the African region in the pharmaceutical field. Mr. Speaker, sir, while speaking about innovation and new economic pillars, it is essential to mention the establishment of a data technology park at Côte d'Or, which will include 12 specialized multi-sectoral centers from additive manufacturing to artificial intelligence. This center will be developed in accordance with international best practices and shall include a carbon-neutral green certified Tier 4 data center. This technology park shall lay the foundation of an innovative and data-driven economy and create jobs for the future generation. It is noteworthy that this initiative will position Mauritius as an emerging leader in the field of IT for the Africa region. Mr. Speaker, sir, the construction sector has always been a core pillar for the development of a country. Over the last years, Mauritian landscape has changed a lot. We are witnessing a chantier everywhere we are going. This government has shown its resilience, and despite the COVID-19 crisis, we are not backing off of our promises to continue the development and uplifting of our public infrastructures. This government is committed to graduate our motherland to the next level of sophistication. In this optic, the Metro Express project will pursue its journey, and a sum of 5 billion rupees has been attributed for the completion of metro system between Rosehill and QPIP. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming to my constituency, number 17, QPIP and Midlands, with regards to public infrastructure project, I wish to inform the House that the face of the town of QPIP is undergoing and lifting and will soon be rejuvenated with the state-of-art infrastructures. In this respect, my colleague, Honorable Stephen Obigadu, and myself have aligned our thoughts and have recommended a master plan. This master plan is being made in collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Lane Drainage Authority and shall provide for a dynamic long-term planning for an integrated development action plan. Mr. Speaker, sir, the main artery of the township of QPIP is the Yanpalak bus station, and this bus station was set up in the 1950s and witnessed transit of more than 1,000 people on a daily basis. Since its inception, no major development has been undertaken to at least make the bus station safer to cater for an increasing capacity. But it is this government who have worked for the development of a modern, multi-modern urban terminal in accordance to international standards. The new urban terminal will also act as a catalyst for economic activities in the township and thus promoting creation of jobs, entrepreneurship. We believe that Metro project in itself is an ecosystem and that it will act as a drive to spur entrepreneurship and local businesses. In line with our modern strategy to modernize the transport system, the starting point of the Metro project will be in QPIP. To this effect, the landscape of QPIP is being transformed. As I am speaking, there are mega structures being laid and molded to provide for the foundation of the metro system in QPIP. This government is aiming to graduate the township of QPIP to a second level of sophistication and innovation. Mr. Speaker, sir, being born and brought up in QPIP, I have a very special corner for the heart and legacy of QPIP, and that is the L'Hôtel de Ville de QPIP. It is this government that earmarked a budget of 120 million rupees for the complete restoration and renovation of Hôtel de Ville, which will be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, sir, last time, Honorable Sinkwen mentioned that nothing has been done in QPIP. Well, the development and advances made to the landscape of QPIP is unprecedented. To name a few, the creation of the pillars of the metro system, Hôtel de Ville and largest urban terminal, the township of QPIP is set to the much-desired Ville de Lumière 2.0. The era that the town of QPIP was a dormant and dark town, it has come to an end. That was the era when he was in power, but we have also come to the end of that era. Anyways, I would like to ask him that when he was in power, what has he done? Well, he did nothing. For instance, Hôtel de Ville was not even maintained. I am certain that he's having a lot of confusion with all the diversions that are happening in the town of QPIP. But this is mostly because of the town of QPIP is going under massive transformation. He is in complete disillusion and has lost all notion of the definition of progress and advancement. And I qualify his statement as biased and has misled the House of tainted by bad faith. Had he been a honorable member who holds les QPIPiens and les QPIPiennes at heart, he should have been proud of this development being brought to the town of QPIP. Mr. Speaker, sir, the majority of people of my constituency join me to express our heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Prime Minister and also the Minister of Finance for giving due consideration to our hometown. Mr. Speaker, sir, as stated in his budget speech, Dr. Badiachi, I want to conclude, we are in an abnormal situation and that we are not in a normal business. In the same way, even the matter before this House should be treated with an élan de solidarité et de patriotisme, instead of the constant demagogy and unfounded criticism of the opposition. It is with deep concern and regret, I must say, that members of the opposition are not being able to appreciate the extra effort this government is putting to take us out of this crisis. They are allowing their political gears overshadowing their intelligence and their ability to make fair judgment of these initiatives undertaken by our government. If we are unable to commend our measures as the opposition of this House, that they could do would be showing some gratitude as citizens of this motherland. Had they been in power, well, we would have been doomed. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, we think it's time of hardship that we rethink and reinvent ourselves. It is also the time where we come together with all stakeholders to put our minds and efforts together towards rebuilding our economy. Mr. Speaker, it is important to mention that the population gave their verdict and chose this government. They have chosen for continuity despite the crisis we are pursuing with our promises and our program. Our government has set out a blueprint based on solid foundation of resilience and sustainability to put our economy back on track. But we will take coordinated efforts of everyone to make it a reality. As a member of this August Assembly and as a proud Mauritian, I reiterate my commitment to working with all of you to meet this all-encompassing test. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is now or never to stand together. We may be socially distant today, but it is now time to stand together and enshrine the wording of our national anthem. As one people, as one nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I now suspend the sitting for 1 hour.